Due to the length of this video, combined with the additional relevant attachments, this entire module for Q3 of 2019 will count for 3 hours of officer training for chiefs, captains, and lieutenants per ISO standards. It will also be sent to all operations members and count as company level training for all other members. As with all assigned training modules, whether taken from the Target Solutions course library or content created by the Training Bureau, personnel will have 3 months or 1 quarter to complete the assignments. We are extremely happy to have had the chance to produce this content with the assistance of the B-Shift personnel who responded to this fire. We hope that this post-incident review and others like it become the standard training for our crews.
49 Bravo, residential fire. Engine number 49 Bravo, Assistant 2, Battalion 13, Battalion 2, Engine 2, Engine 3, Engine 49, Ladder 2, Rescue 49, Squad 29, respond to 1700 Southeast 12th Court, near the ballpark. Getting multiple calls advising of a residential fire near 12th Court, 1 block south of the Yacht Club. All units switch to TAC Bravo, 2053.
Okay, per the update with no vehicles and owners out of town, do we have an exact address?
Welcome to unit respondent. Their advice is going to be 1631 Southeast 12th Court, 1631 Southeast 12th Court.
Battalion 13, copy. And this is a house fire, not a boat fire, correct?
All right, Engine 49 is arriving. Command established. We got a, looks like a garage fire. It's going to be a working fire.
Engine 49, copy arrival. Has command advised a working fire, garage fire, 2059.
Ladder 49 didn't come in yet, so we got a 2-story structure, and we have heavy smoke coming out the garage. We're going to turn it over.
All right, this is initially when we came up, we were on ladder 49. We were on our way to a fire alarm, and when this came in, we diverted to this call. We came up behind engine 49. 49, along with ladder 2, were trying to make entry into the front of the structure. When we pulled up, we thought it was a large residential occupancy with a double garage. Once we tried making entry, the engine 49 into the main entrance, the security and the hurricane-proof entrance made it very difficult for them to make entry. Firefighter Filiaw and Captain Marsh were starting to work on that, and as we were making our 360, we were met by Battalion 2 Chief Carter advising that we had a side door there. We were able to force that door on the east side of the structure. We had heavy smoke coming out of both garages, and what we determined were what we thought were 2 different separate garages. When we did make entry, we had a heavy fire load to the rear of it. Engine 2 was with Firefighter Galt and Firefighter Beatty. They pulled a second line off engine 49, and we backed them up inside the east side garage to get a knockdown on the fire. Chief Carter had advised us about some hazards in the rear of the structure from his 360, and we were in the garage making an attack on the fire. I did have the tick and was trying to reach the emergency handle for the garage to get that up because of all the hurricanes, the reinforcement on it, and due to the heat and how high it was with the tick, it looked like it was a lot lower, but I was unable to reach it. I did have a hook and I was trying to hook it, but we were just unable to do it. So we also had to do ventilation and try to get entrance through using the saws at the front of the garage.
So did you believe that was 2 separate residents, or was one residence?
I thought it was one large residence with 2 separate garages. And as we came up, we had heavy smoke coming out of both garages as soon as we made it on scene. When we pulled up, we had engine 49 was located right here. They started pulling lines. We pulled up right about here, and firefighter driver engineer Chaffee said he was gonna ladder the building, and ended up jumping back in and having to move up a little more to get a better access because of a large tree. And as Rescue 49 pulled up, they advised that there was a hydrant right behind us, and they said that they were going to start assisting in hand lay. They ran up behind us, grabbed the supply line off engine 49 and hand laid it. We were able to supply engine 49 very quickly.
leaving the station, I knew they were on another call. I knew they had gotten hung out for another call, so I'm thinking I'm going to be the first ladder.
Right.
And once everybody turned off of the aisle and came across the bridge there, you don't know who's ahead of you or who's not. And probably by the time I was on the aisle, beginning of the aisle, they were going arrival, and I was already committed on the aisle too. So almost getting there at the same time, so not necessarily knowing I'm first ladder, second ladder. But when we did get there, they're forcing entry on the door, so
your arrival as a second ladder.
As a second ladder,
okay.
I see the first companies doing forcible entry and pulling the line, so I concerned myself with just going to do a primary. And we've talked about this, about the fact that we have identical conditions on each side, and the structure itself looks the same on each side. So I didn't know if it was two separate type structures with garages up front with living first and second floor, identical front and back. And we were going to go in the door here, and it was going to split to two different residences. So I didn't know how much of a search we were going to be in for. Turns out once you go in the door, it's a little vestibule area, and the only thing you have is one door that goes into this garage and a set of stairs that go straight up. That's all you have. There's no door that goes into this garage. So we opened this door and had the same kind of smoke conditions start pushing into the vestibule where we were at. So we closed that door, and Phil y'all brought the line up, and we were going to try and make entry into there, still thinking that we need to go that way. At the same time, and I know Chief Carter's pointed this out, this crew is bringing the line around to the side door. So about the same time that we're trying to get in, they're going to start operating their line, and so we start getting beat up on this side of it, and we can't go anywhere. So I changed what we were going to do and said, all right, we'll go to the second floor at this time, and then we'll come back and revisit the first floor. So we went to the second floor and we did a primary.
Well, that was your assignment?
Yes, second floor, primary. Well, not necessarily second floor, but just primary.
Primary search.
And I'm still thinking I got to find the first floor that we're going to do a primary.
We had two, Chief, just to interrupt for 2 seconds, we had two objectives there. I needed Captain Marsh to tell me if we had fire extension into that second floor, and we needed to make sure that the house was vacant, despite what people were telling us.
Right, and that's correct too. I was going up there to say, hey, we've got, I was anticipating us having fire somewhere in the second floor also, and I was going to look for that, which plays into it, because when we did get up to the stairs, we went to the right first, to the east bedroom area over there. Conditions were good. There wasn't any heat, just smoke conditions. That was it. So then we moved across to the west side, and when we got to the bedroom area on the west side, looking out the back window, I had fire above the house. So I knew we had fire below us, still coming up. There was no conditions like that on the east side, back of the house. So
Looking out the windows, you're talking.
looking out the window, Chief, go to the picture of the back of the house. Because when you're looking out the windows, I'm looking at the railing. In that video you were playing a minute ago where it shows the fire going all the way up past the bamboo and stuff, early into that, we were in this area of the house, and I was watching the fire go up over the roof while we were there. So I said, okay, well, I know the garage area that's underneath us is still on fire on this side. So I told him, I said, hey, whatever's going on is going on this east, on the west side rather. And so we came back down the same stairs that we came in and tried to come around to the west side. And Captain Morris had mentioned it, that we came around back, saw the open door, the heavy fire on that side, and I was like, all right, this is what we're dealing with. It's all still back here.
So were you able to report a primary search?
Yes.
You were able to report all clear from what you saw on the second floor? Okay.
Yeah, the second floor, I got a good primary on the second floor.
Okay.
Smoke
conditions?
Smoke, it wasn't bad. It was, not what you saw at the front doors. It wasn't even that bad. It was the second floor, and I checked the conditions of the floors going across because I was worried about, I knew we had fire below us. I didn't know concrete floors, wood floors. I wasn't sure how this place is built. Obviously, we've mentioned that already with the way it was laid out from the front. But everything was good. The floors weren't soft. Heat conditions, there was none, just smoke conditions. And we were able to do a good primary quickly. Saw, like I said, the fire coming up over the back of the house, so we came back out, and I'm still thinking in my mind that we have a first floor living area that we haven't been able to find for some reason, until we came all the way around, basically doing our own 360, and then we find two overhead rolling doors on the back, and then we realize, oh, the garages go all the way through, and there is no living area on the first floor. So then we stayed down here at that point, and
What did you do after that when you were down to that point? Were you assisting the crews in the rear?
Yeah, we went through the middle door to go back into this side because this side was open, so we were still trying to figure out if we could get this door open. And the one picture that shows all the stuff in front of it, I saw that from the interior when I went in through the door and went on that side. Saw all this. I went in this door, came through here. We still had some fire in this area here.
Was the
but the door was
already cut?
No. The door was still intact. I was going in there to try and open it.
Got it.
Because this side over here was already open. And when I went in and saw all the cabinet stuff, I was like, well, we're not going to do that, and turned around and went back out. And that's when the hose line starts getting put in place on the other side. So, I mean, for my part, it was pretty limited. The primary was, I feel like I probably should have been doing more forcible entry throughout the evolution, but I got hung up on that first door that goes into the right, thinking that I was going to try and get to living quarters, and it went nowhere but a garage with another hose line operating in it. I'll give him a full picture.
So one of the main things we had difficulty with at this fire was the storm glass. These storm doors were double pinned. Trying to force them open was it was very difficult. And then also trying to smash the glass and just hit it with a Halligan or hit it with a sledgehammer. We ended up having to use a saw and make a cut to be able to get your hand in to unlock it. One of the firefighters there said the glass master would work great on a storm glass.
So were you ever able to make entry, to open the door without making the cut? Were you able to open that door without using the glass master, without touching the window?
No. The one on the east side was forced open.
Okay.
So we were able to force that one. I don't believe that one was double pinned, but this one was pinned on the top and the bottom.
Okay, and so what did they do? What did you use for the glass master? How did you use it? Where did you use it?
We didn't use it on this fire. It was something that we looked into during training, and it found out that it cuts through like butter.
So you believe they should, for any of these hurricane or double panel, you should be using the glass master to get in
I think
through.
it's definitely a tool in your toolbox you should have with you. It's a lot faster than grabbing a saw, starting it up. You can, and it's a lot lighter.
Just a quick note on the forcible entry tactics used to cut these sectional doors. First things first, from the training standpoint, phenomenal job. The crews were doing the tactics that we've taught out there for some time now, barn door or L-shaped cuts on these large sectional reinforced doors that are common in South Florida. So great job by the crews. They cut vertically here, horizontally there, vertically here, and were able to remove the whole section. And obviously, based on the picture, you can see that they had the additional challenge of additional reinforcements in the form of a gate behind doors on this side and on the other side. So just as a reminder, what we're teaching now, especially with these heavily reinforced doors, is a vertical cut here, a vertical cut there, removing of the skin, which gives the ability of the sawyer, the saw operator, to go in there and reach in and cut any horizontal members they find. And after that last horizontal cut is made, the door swings open like a barn door. This additional advantage of cutting it just like that, whether this door is reinforced like this one or even a thinner door, is once you make those two vertical cuts and remove the skin, well now the saw operator making that horizontal cut can operate independently of the hose line operator, who now can attack the fire regardless of how long it takes to make that horizontal cut. So it's something to think about as you approach this door, and this can be used on commercial doors as well. If you do make those two vertical cuts here, it allows for immediate fire attack by removal of that skin or that piece of the door, while the saw operator acts independently of fire attack. So great job by crews on scene. You good?
All right, so first and foremost, I want to thank the Training Bureau for putting this together and getting all of us together. I think that this is going to prove invaluable to other crews, because we had a fire that was what we thought and what we had were not the same. So I want to kind of give you my perspective as a chief officer responding in from the 3,000 or 1,000 foot mark. We've heard from Captain Robinson. He arrives, he knows he's got plenty of real estate in front of the building. He gives us a good size up of what he's got initially. Just some thoughts of what your chief officers are thinking. So we're talking about 12th Court here. You look off of Cordova Road, it's a one-way in, dead-end island with a very narrow drive. So Chief Shaw, if we can zoom in a little bit more now. already in my mind, I'm thinking we're going to have an apparatus nightmare here because this street is 2-lane, literally 2-lane, and if we've got any truck that that does not allow room for another truck to pass, we're going to have problems. But I ended up parking probably in front of this house based on the fact that engine 3 was here, ladder 49 was here, engine 49 was here, rescue 49. We've been trying for years to really preach apparatus placement, and this fire, it was fantastic. Engine 49 had pulled past and was almost to the driveway of the exposure on the Delta side, and ladder 49 had the front of the building. The rescue was out of the way. The hydrant that Chief Shaw will show you in another graphic is right about here, and engine 3 had here, anticipating that they were going to have to feed engine 49, but engine 49 Alpha and engine 3 Alpha ended up hand laying back to the hydrant. So it worked out fine. Would have been nice to get their apparatus out of the way, but wasn't a big deal. As I'm walking up, a couple of things that strike me right off the bat. If you look at the exposure on the Bravo side, there's not much room here. Literally probably 8 to 10 feet between these two structures. Okay? The other thing we've already talked about, this kind of throws you when you see 2 garage doors on the bottom, but to me, I knew that the fire had to be somewhere where these were connected because we had about equal amount of smoke showing from both of those garage doors. If we go back to the video, Chief, you'll see that to me this is not really under pressure. There's a little bit of pressure over here, so I'm not overly concerned with a flashover environment as of this time. What catches me right off the bat is we're having some forcible entry problems here. These are hurricane doors that are pinned at the bottom and the top, as well as a double deadbolt. Okay, I can see that the ladder and both ladders are having some issues getting in there, so we're delayed. We've already identified that we've got 2 doors. Cutting doors, no matter how you slice it, is not a fast evolution. So I know we're going to have a delay getting water on the fire. As one of my primary tactics, I like to do a 360. So if you listen to the video, you'll hear me say that there's a pool. This pool, there was a very narrow sidewalk past this pool to get to the rear of the structure. So I wanted to announce to everybody that that was there because I was really hedging a pretty big bet that we were going to have a firefighter take a swim at some point. But I wanted everybody to know that was there. Go back to the front. What also caught me on my 360, and really this is a lesson learned for myself, I was not able to complete the 360 because there was a generator here and there was huge power coming into this house. Now I'm starting to wonder what's going on. We got 2 garages, we've got big power supply coming in, gas powered generator over here. So I was very concerned about these guys getting in here, what they were going to encounter. So I wanted the gas supply cut off, and I personally tried to get some electrical service shut down for them. While I was doing that, at about the 10-foot mark just below this eave here, between the first and second floor, on this side of the structure is glass block, and the glass block was popping and cracking over my head. So now I know I got a very heavy heat condition, at least in this garage as I was standing there. And then I also found another swinging door that looked to me to be a little bit easier to get through than what they were encountering there. So I caught Captain Robinson and Captain Galt, who was assigned to Engine 2, and let them know that we probably had access into the garage a little quicker via this swinging door on the Alpha Delta corner of the structure. Luckily at that point, that door is right over here, and Chief will bring up a picture of it. At that point, Chief Morse arrived. This is the door there. This is the Alpha Delta corner of the structure. The crews that made entry there were only able to get 4 or 5 steps in and were beat down by the heat. I tried to ask Captain Robinson, rather than waste a lot of energy cutting that door, if Captain Robertson could get to the opener to open this door, but as you said, it was too hot to get high enough to open that door from the inside, which would have given us a lot bigger opening, a lot more ventilation. At that point, while we were working here, Chief Morse arrived, and he finished my 360 and found that there was heavy fire at the Bravo Charlie corner of the house. So at that point, we had at least two. We had two lines stretched to the front. We had a line stretched to this door that we were about to make entry into here, and now we know that we have an opening. Really, I don't think any of us at that point knew how all of that communicated, but we knew that we had a heavy fire load. I mean, just a tremendous amount of fire blowing out the rear. So we got with Engine 3 Alpha and Engine 49 Alpha, who both did a phenomenal job. We stretched a static 2.5 with the water thief to the rear, and I don't remember what company was coming up. Maybe it was Engine 29. I told them, I had them assigned to RIT because I wanted to get a RIT team, because I anticipated as soon as Captain Marsh got through that front door that they were going to the second floor to check for conditions on the second floor and knock out a primary search. So I wanted a RIT team. But now we have this heavy body of fire, so I ordered them to get a high-rise pack that was going to attach to that static 2.5 so that we could try to make a hit on this as well. Here's the high-rise pack coming around. In retrospect, I wish I would have told them to bring a 2.5-inch high-rise pack, and we could have come right off the middle of the water thief with the 2.5 and made a lot quicker hit on this. But with the amount of fire that we had, I still think we did a pretty good job.
So, question: did you still believe this was a residential structure fire at this point?
I believe that we had a commercial garage with a house on top of it.
At this point,
is what we had. Correct.
Okay.
Correct. We all, just for some other perspective, there's about a 100-foot mega yacht right where I'm sitting. In fact, I think the videographer that's taken this is almost on the back deck of that mega yacht. Another exposure. So we have an exposure on the Bravo side. We have a house and a boat as an exposure on the Delta side, and we have water back here. So Chief Morse made a great call to ask for Fireboat 6 to respond, and later on I said, well, we cleared them pretty early because we had started making a knockdown here. But in retrospect, they asked if they could stay, and they provided great lighting to the rear of the structure. And if one of our people had gone into the water, they would have been right there. So I think any of these waterfront homes that we have, even though it's a land-based fire, we should get the. Oh, you saw that.
Yeah, talk about.
We should.
Yeah, maybe we want to talk
get
about
the
that.
boat.
That's...
Now, this is just a quick. This is discipline and making sure that your water thief is closed before you charge the line. All right. So, from a perspective of where we're at the fire now, Chief Morse did a great job, like I said, on the 360 of identifying this heavy fire. What that posed from a command tactics perspective is another exposure problem on the Bravo side that we needed to deal with, and we do with a subsequent second alarm unit that comes in and stretches an additional line. I think at this point we're up to 4 or 5 lines that are in operation. We've got a high-rise pack attached to the Y. We're going to talk in a second about just a quick cleanup item here that can prevent what you'll see happens here. We also have hose lines that have now gone into the swinging door, the regular door on the Alpha Delta corner, which brings up another point. At this time in the firefight, Ladder 49, Ladder 2 have made entry into the front door. They entered 2 really reinforced Hurricane pinned at the front, top, and bottom doors. They encounter a stairwell to the second floor, not even a half a landing, maybe a quarter of a landing down to a door that goes into this garage area. So they make their way in there without a hose line and encounter heavy steam because now we've got a crew coming in from that Alpha Delta corner. That would be Engine 49, Engine 2. In retrospect, there could have been a little bit better communication between those crews making entry. We're putting water on the fire on the Delta side of the structure. That might have let Captain Marsh know before he started into that door that there might have been some heat condition. Even if he had a hose, we're not going to get into a water fight, but just something for guys to consider. My primary role for them at that point was to get to the second floor and let me know what kind of conditions and if we had any people that might have been up on the second floor. We had initial reports that the house was vacant, but that's never a guarantee until we make sure that it's vacant. So that's where we're at prospectively. The fireboat is still en route. Many second alarm units to include Engine 29, Engine 8, Engine 16, Engine 13. Rescue 3, I believe, might already be here at this point. We got Rescue 302 at some point, and AC2 are all still en route. Go ahead, let's start it. So just a quick note, and this is not, this is just a lesson learned to make sure that your valves are closed on your water thief. The correct valves are closed and the one that you want to open is open. Because as you'll see, as this line gets pressurized, we encounter a pretty significant problem here. It could have been very bad if one of our firefighters had gotten hit by this water thief.
So the connection's already been made to that gated wire now?
Water thief, yes.
All right, so it's already connected, right?
Correct.
Okay. So, Chief Carter, can you speak in regards to that? How did it happen? Why did it happen? What was the issue?
One of the openings on the water thief. Remember, we have 2 inch 3/4 connections and 1 2.5 connection. One of the openings that had not had a hose connected to it was obviously had been opened by mistake, obviously, and caused that runaway line. In retrospect, could the firefighter have jumped on top of that water thief? Yes, but that's got to be an instant reaction to do that. Captain Giovanetti was quick to get on the radio, and obviously we got it shut down. But as Captain Morse has pointed out to us here in the room, the water is right here. Just her or the firefighter being on top of the water thief could have caused the firefighter to be knocked into the water. We don't have Fireboat 6 here yet. We could put and should put either a 20-foot straight ladder or a 14-foot roof ladder off one of the aerial devices. We could drop that into the water before the boat gets there, or even if the boat's not coming, in case one of our firefighters go in. I want to remind everybody that if you haven't been through the dunk test in your bunker gear, you're not going to sink. You will float.
So a standard practice we should be doing is, if we're operating on or near a dock, we should have a means of egress if you go in. So we should always have that available. Something that we didn't think of that night, but it's a lesson learned that we found.
Absolutely. And then just to carry, since we're on this view right now, you see another swinging door here. But what we now believe we have encountered is that the entire first floor, and this proved to be the actual case, the entire first floor is a garage with a 4-car rack system here in this particular corner. So the Charlie Bravo corner had a 4-car rack system with almost $1 million worth of cars there. Heavy fire load. I was not comfortable and relayed this over the air with anybody pushing past those racks with all that fire load. We don't know the stability of the steel, and we don't know what's happened to the floor above it, which actually ended up holding up pretty well. You'll also see, if you can pause it for, wait till it swings back this way, Chief. Just pause it for 1 second. The door in the front versus the doors in the back, these are commercial roll down doors. These are a lot more stout than the doors in the front. We just got lucky, and I don't know that we know how, but we just got lucky that this one was open. Whether there was a short that caused the door to open on its own, whether somebody purposely left the door open, if this door had been down, this would have been a lot different. This would have very quickly approached flashover conditions in that first floor.
We went back the following day and spoke to some of the people that are friends with them and asked about that door, and those commercial doors come with a sensor for CO. So if there is a CO, high CO, it'll open automatically, and possibly that's what could cause that.
Why didn't the other side open it?
Don't know.
So was there a rack system on the other side of the
This was the only rack system in this quadrant of the garage. The rest of the garage was open floor space with 2 golf carts, 2 wave runners, I believe. There was the 4 cars. There was a Harley Davidson motorcycle.
Tesla.
A
Where
Tesla.
you're going with that question though, in front of that other door, the one that was not open, he had cabinets and everything in front of it.
So you can see
front
Because
of
I went in
See
that
right
middle
there?
back door. Yeah, all that was in front of that door.
Got it.
That is the door on the left from the back.
From inside, it looked like almost like a wall.
Yeah, it was.
So, Chief, at this point, I think I'd like to let my safety officer speak to what he found and how he operated, and then we'll turn it over to you, Chief San Angelo, from a overall perspective, or Captain Marsh, and then we can hit on the lessons learned. I know Chief Shaw is probably chomping to talk about this particular picture, but
Pause. You got to pause.
Just following on some things that Chief Carter mentioned, and also some other topics of discussion that have come up from this kind of desktop that we're having here. First of all, the CO, the carbon monoxide detectors, which you're typically only going to find in a garage or in a room adjacent or above a garage. There is a possibility that these roll-up commercial doors that were on the back of the structure that nobody was expecting to see on the back of the structure, there is a possibility that they have a sensor that could potentially open the door. There are, just so everybody's aware, there are systems that you can buy, CO monitors, that tie in with your app on your iPhone and your Nest settings for your air conditioning and your alarm, and you can have everything set and run from your phone, where when a monitor receives a high reading of CO, the garage doors will open, right? So that, with technology today, that is something that we're going to start to find, especially in the larger houses where there's very valuable contents in the garage. So this was an example of that. This is a single family home that looks like a residential structure, but we're debating whether we should refer to this as a commercial fire with a residence above. The reality is, in this city, with a lot of the new construction, a lot of the money, and a lot of the large homes on the waterways, a lot of residences have a garage on the entire ground floor that has 6 or 7 very expensive cars. So just something to be aware of, that you know, typically a garage with more than a couple of cars is in a commercial residence with a multi-family dwelling. This is a single family dwelling, but it's a wealthy home with 6 or 7 cars. I just ran an alarm on a 17,000 square foot home on the beach, where the entire ground floor was a 5,000 square foot garage, a lot bigger than this one. And that's a single family residence. So we need to really address in the future how we're going to refer to those fires, only because we're going to deal with CO monitoring in these expensive garages protecting very expensive cars, and we're going to deal with this type of situation in the future. As Chief Carter said, when I arrived, I was safety officer. I kind of wanted to do my own 360. Chief Carter had command. He made it down the east side of the structure and got kind of held up there with some safety concerns. The swimming pool on this corner, just to the left of where the cameraman is, was not lit at all, and it was very possible that somebody was going to stumble into that swimming pool. Luckily, it was small and shallow, but we did also have, just to the right, obviously, a canal coming right off the intercoastal. So we had some water hazards for sure. We mentioned about a safety ladder for a means of egress for anybody that does fall in. Probably a good idea, if you're putting a ladder into a canal, to throw a Peterson buoy next to it. So if somebody falls in, you can throw them the buoy, pull them into the ladder, they can climb out of the water. But that's definitely something to consider. So getting back to the 360 part of it, we were initially attacking the structure from the front. We had a front door, impact glass, and 2 standard garage doors for a residential structure with the black smoke showing. When I came around the Alpha Bravo side, Bravo Charlie corner, that was when I noticed the heavy fire load coming out of the back. You heard on the dispatch tape already probably where I advised command, forget about the garage in the front, come around the back, there's a heavy fire load and it's blowing out the back of the structure. So still unaware that we had one entire garage on the ground floor. We were still trying to figure out, is there a fire stop between the back and the front of the house? Is that why we were hitting it from the front but we weren't getting much relief? Because we were attacking with hose lines as you're looking at this footage, and now you're starting to see we're getting some relief on the fire, but initially we weren't. So we were still trying to figure out the layout of the floor plan. That does bring up one other point for me as a safety officer. I think when you get into these larger structure fires, and you may even transition from safety, if we'd had a third chief show up, myself or you perhaps would have taken operations, and that third chief may have become safety, because we're aware of the tactical layout, the work that we've been doing so far, and one of us would be far more effective as an operations chief. So that brings up the point when Captain Marsh grabbed me and said, hey, I'll show you right where the fire is right now, and I'm in my coat and my helmet, and he's fully bunkered out with an air pack on, and I feel my pants beginning to melt. that immediately got me thinking, back here working with all these crews, it would be great if I had my pants on right now. So when we're going into a 2-alarm fire, multiple responding units and a heavy fire load, second, third chief arriving, throw your pants on, you don't know how close you're going to get to operations and the crews that are working, and I think that would certainly be an asset. So like I said, fire out the back, reported to command, we kind of changed our attack tactics. We had 2 other lines stretched down the Bravo and the Delta side of the structure, kind of a portable standpipe setup, so that we had some attacking from the rear. We talked about Marine 6 responding. You heard on the tape initially, I was confirming with dispatch if this was a boat fire or a residential fire. So something to keep in mind on this. This is in zone 49, even though it's Rio Vista and the 2 units kind of get there quickly. It does mean that our fireboat crew are committed to responding to a structure fire in their fire trucks, right? So if they had already gone responding and it turns out to be a boat fire, would that have changed our approach to the units responding from 49 and what vehicle they respond on, either a truck or jump on the boat? Because now it's turned out to boat fire. So I thought, because it was 49 zone, it was important to try and confirm, is this a boat or a house? If it's a boat, I might tell them to go back and get our fireboat. If it's a house, keep going, right? Regardless of that, when I arrived on scene and I did my 360, and I came down, like I said, to this corner where the fire was blowing out, I did notice the mega yacht right here. So these exposures, it's a 0 lot line on this structure. They build the houses as big as they can, and other than the setback, which is 10 to 20 feet, you got another house. Another house is concrete block and stucco. This is fiberglass and mucho expensive. So I was concerned about the yacht as an exposure. When I came around the back corner, reported the fire, I did actually notice the neighbor had a garden hose, and he was literally spraying his yacht with a garden hose. So I asked the gentleman, hey, I'm going to get you something to kind of wet down your boat so it's not an exposure and you don't get any damage to your fiberglass or your teak or anything else that you have on there. So that's when we were requesting Marine 6. After we got the fire under control, as Chief Carter stated, we still had a ton of benefit from Marine 6 staying on scene, because in the back of this structure, when you're on a canal, there's no street lights back here like you get on the front of the house, and you can see the difference in the video from the front and the back, how much harder it is to work when you can't see what you're doing. So you can't light it up with the scene lights or the squad, but Marine 6 lit the hell out of the back of this house, right? And it made working a lot easier. So one huge advantage is the ability to light up a house from the back. They can also flow water from Marine 6. It's not just a marine boat, it's a fireboat. So we have an additional line that we can deploy from the rear, maybe to put up on the roof as an exposure line or whatever. And like we've talked about, if somebody does happen to fall in, they have the ability to have a safety swimmer on the boat that can kind of help us out. And those are all important reasons. So like Chief Carter said, anytime we're responding to a residential structure on a canal, if it's not in 49 zone, get them going in the boat so we have that function of the boat in the rear of the structure, because you can use it for several different assets.
So from a safety standpoint,
Yeah.
What other safety aspects do you believe that we should have employed or that we did employ that worked well?
Yeah, so I think in addition to the things that we did do, and there are a lot of things that we did very well here, and I've talked to Chief Carter extensively about this fire. This is a wood frame structure with a heavy fire load. You've seen how heavy the fire was. We saved the structure, basically. We both went upstairs, a few of us went upstairs afterwards, and other than some smoke damage, there was no heat damage on the second floor of this house, which is pretty remarkable. So that's a massive shout out to the crews that showed up and were extremely aggressive and got this fire under control very quickly. There was a ridiculously high heat and fire load because it was a garage, and what we're calling a commercial garage, although it was in a residence. Several vehicles, a golf cart, a Tesla, so you have the electric car, fuel cans, a compressor, so a ton of things that accelerated the fire load. There was glass block about 10 feet up on the Bravo side as well as the Delta side that was actually blowing out and cracking. So that gave you an idea of how much heat there was. So that was a concern for me as a safety officer. And then again, also all of the accelerants that were in the garage, the vehicles, fuel, compressor generator. We talked about the water safety aspect. We haven't really talked about foam, although we certainly can. Chief Carter made sure that the electric vehicle was towed out of the garage so that there was no kind of a rekindle, which I thought was a really good idea, along with the golf cart. But from a safety standpoint, I think You know, the fact that it's not just a typical garage fire where you go in through the front door, attack it from the back and blow it out the front. This was completely different. And it wasn't just one or two cars. Most single family homes with a 2-car garage, there's no cars in the garage, right? They're pack rats and there's boxes of storage. This had several vehicles, a golf cart, a Jeep, and one of them was a Tesla. So a lot of things to be concerned with.
Okay, so what I'm going to address is the strategy and tactics of this occupancy. So the initial response is a residential structure fire. That's our initial response, the first alarm assignment. But what, as you see, is this is a very tight road to get down to this structure. So as Chief Carter mentioned earlier, the apparatus placement was perfect, but it only really only left this much area, maybe a car opening to get down there. So as coming to the call, by the time Chief Carter gets there, he's about here, maybe even a little further. He's 3 blocks away. By the time I show up, I'm at the end of the block, so I'm about 5 to 6 blocks away. So for command reference is how do you set up a command post? Where are you going to set up a command post? His vehicle's there and my vehicle's there. We're not bringing it up close enough to establish a command board, incident command placement, right? An area command. So what was throwing us is that, again, this is a residential structure fire. We're on a residential structure fire. Chief Carter moves on to a second alarm because of the fire load. How much fire load and the work that's going to be involved, right? How much work is going to be involved? At this point, when I go arrival, I come down this way. I do my walk around to take a look to see what I have. I meet up with Chief Carter, who's incident commander, and again, my thoughts were still just a residential structure fire. My thoughts should have changed to a commercial structure fire because now we're in a second alarm. I bumped it to a third alarm because of the amount of workload we're going to have. So I'm bumping it to a third alarm. At that point, things should have changed. I should have took over command, and I should have designated Chief Carter as operations. Somehow, some way, I needed a command board presence here across the street where we ended up having our rehab, and that was thrown together as well because our support. You turn it this way. So here is where we ended up having rehab, and it was thrown together. Our support vehicle was further down. Actually, it was close to my vehicle. So once he went to a second alarm, as me responding, I should have changed my strategy and I'm going to go to incident. I'm going to take command from him, make him operations, put a command post somewhere here, somewhere here. And if I had enough room, I could have brought my vehicle down. And again, this is an anomaly. This is a very small road, only one way in access. If I could have brought my vehicle down, I probably would have put it here or even one of these other driveways and set up a command post there. I could have used my boards and had accountability. What we talked about on B shift is that if we have a 3-person rescue, we'll take the lieutenant off that rescue, make the other 2 become medical sector, and then that lieutenant now becomes my accountability officer. And they're gonna start to learn that, at least on our shift. So that should have been a change in a strategy for myself. So for any multiple alarm fires, you need to start thinking differently. Whether it's residential, commercial, you need to start thinking. Your mindset needs to start thinking. This threw us. This is a residential structure, but because of the workload, because of the amount of fire load, we kept it at that, which we should have made it. Our thought should have been a commercial structure fire because of the occupancy was above and not below. We have those all the time. We have high rises that have parking garages underneath and residences above. Same thing, only this was only 2-story. So same thing. We should have changed it to that. Also, one other thing, Chief Shaw, if you can move down. Keep going. Yeah, maybe back out a little bit. Back out one more. Okay, so here's your way in, right? When I call for the third alarm assignment, The third alarm assignment units were dispatched on Charlie, TAC Charlie, and left on TAC Charlie. They go responding on it. Also, they go arrival on Charlie, and they're staged down here. Either here or here they staged. They never got instruction to come down until I asked where they were on Bravo, which we were working on, and I told dispatch to have them go over, Firecom to go over to our channel, and I called them down, I requested them down. But I think Engine 16 was the last unit that showed up and never got assigned because they were on a different channel altogether. So a lesson learned for that third alarm or above, we got to make sure we have assignments for them when they go arrival. Here's the other thing, if you're going to set up a command post, as soon as you go to a second alarm, the incident commander needs 2 radios. Needs Bravo, what they're working on, and also for main channel, so you can know what's coming, what's going out. Also, if we're gonna go multiple alarm like that 3 alarm, I could have put, as a command post, I could have put that lieutenant, go to Charlie. As the accountability officer, that person's on Charlie, that's sitting right next to me, that accountability board's open. I need another unit. On Charlie, they could have requested someone come down. So, just a lot of difficulties with this, a lot of difficulties with the location, and our mindset should have changed, but we didn't. We got tunnel vision. Myself, I got tunnel vision thinking this is a residential structure fire, and it should have never been. Should have changed after the second alarm assignment, should have changed to a commercial occupancy, and the thought should have been different. The strategy should have been different.
Chief, that them going to Charlie, that was automatically done in the dispatch profile, that they automatically dispatched those units on Charlie?
Yes.
And they stayed on Charlie?
Yes. Yes.
And Chief, we talked about that when we had our next meeting, about how when a second, third alarm assignment is staging away from the scene, because they probably can't get much closer anyway.
Right.
The first arriving officer goes onto the TAC channel that we're working, in this case Bravo, reports to command, engine 88's third alarm staging, going to Charlie. That way, as the incident commander, you know that they've made arrival, you know that the first truck to stage is going to kind of run that staging area. Plus, because they're sitting in the truck and they're not working, they can be on Charlie for anything that they get from Firecom. Right. They can also monitor. They're going to listen to the fire anyway.
Right.
So, if the incident commander needs a truck from that third alarm assignment, they can literally request from that engine 88 captain who's kind of running that staging area, hey, can you send me 1 truck or a crew of 3, and then he can literally walk to the next truck. Hey, we're moving down, you guys take over, you need to monitor Charlie and Bravo.
That person becomes a staging officer.
Correct.
At where they're staged.
Correct.
Another thing you need to think about is that at the time, we also had a shooting in the city as well. And so we asked for mutual aid, right? We're asking for mutual aid. And a lesson learned is that we brought, it was Broward County units that came in, we brought them downtown. They don't have access to our stations. So there should be another chief officer coming in from either administration or the third battalion for the shift. That person can go to Station 2. The request of the additional resources for mutual aid could go downtown because we can let them in and out. Otherwise, our stations are empty. And if you have additional units, let's say downtown, you push those out to the other stations. Yeah. You push them out to the other stations, and then the mutual aid come to Station 2, so we could run them out of there.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions? Anyone? Okay. Otherwise, I want to say that for what we encountered, they did really, really well. They worked really hard. They saved that structure. Again, it's single-story residential structure fires are bread and butter. We do these all the time. Very, very, very easy. So, but it was good work that everybody put forth the effort.
Thank you. Thank you to the crews who helped provide the content for this post-incident review. This was a phenomenal opportunity to hear from the most experienced members of our agency. Stay safe,